watch this? How?
Ew,
How do you watch this?
Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
Hi, you're listening to How Do You Watch This? A movie review podcast where two best friends, Megan and Demi, take turns recommending a movie we like and they don't. For some reason today I've decided I hate our intro and I can't get through it. My face hurts.
Oh my god.
My name's Megan and I love romance.
My name's Demi and I love horror.
And this week we are closing out our common thread with the movie Easy A. Did you guess?
I have two
the thread?
guesses.
Okay.
One, both of them feature a rad dog.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so that's one. The
Okay.
other one, I figured was the theme of deception.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Which I accidentally kept letting the word deception drop. I dropped it like multiple times in the last episode, and I was like, I'm trying to be coy here.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were right. It's deception.
Okay.
But the rad dog one would have been that would have been a nice touch.
Yeah. I figured it wasn't that. I'm like, it has to be deception. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot think of anything else other than the
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there was definitely deception in both.
Yes.
So
I thought about the dog one, but we did do a dog.
we did an
Didn't
animal companion.
Oh,
They just
Animal
happen to be
Companion.
dogs,
Not There's a dog. We just happen to be obsessed with dogs. Got
We
it.
did. There's a horse.
There's a horse. Okay, cool. So we have an opening
we
for
could
There's
still,
a dog.
yeah, we could still do. There's a dog.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. But yeah, deception was the common thread.
Okay. So I can write that in my review now.
Yes. Finally. Was
Finally.
that fun for you? Or
No, I enjoyed it. I liked trying to
Okay.
guess what it was. Easy A, if you don't know, is a 2010 teen rom-com directed by Will Gluck.
Yep.
Easy A features Emma Stone as the lead, and if you don't know who that is, you live under a rock.
Yes, correct.
So I don't know if you want to say anything before I jump into my Snapchat. Snapshot.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was good. I
think I
that
said
really
it
threw
last
me
time
off guard.
too.
Yeah. I was gonna make fun of you, and then I was like, did I mishear it? So
Snapshot.
yes.
Jeez.
I think something that's interesting is that we were both in high school when this came out. So I think we had different graduating years, right? I
I was
graduated
11.
Okay, yeah. So you would have been a junior. No, yeah, you would have been a junior
Yeah.
when this came out. I was a sophomore. I was thinking about that, and I was like, wow, I guess we wouldn't have been in the same grade, so we probably wouldn't have been friends, which is so sad.
I had a lot of sophomore friends. Part of
Did
it was
you?
because I moved around a lot, and a lot
Oh,
of my
that's
friends were
right.
freshman, sophomore. So
Yeah.
we could
You
have
just
been
wouldn't
friends.
have been friends because you would have been in the school for a minute before
That's true.
leaving.
I would have left, and you would have never
Yeah.
heard from me again. So
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting. I didn't think about that because watching this movie,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god. I
Yeah,
used to wear her outfit was exactly
Yes.
every outfit she wore. I'm pretty sure I wore a rendition to high school.
Yes. I mean, not so much with like the corset tops, but with her earlier outfits, with the vests and things, the audacity for a teenager to walk around school in such high heels, was so like, of
was
the
me.
time. Yes. Like, I don't know why I was determined to always wear wedges or high
Yeah.
shoes, and I don't know why, because what was I trying to prove?
I always wore the heels, the wedges. I
Yes.
had some corset tops that I would wear
Yeah.
sometimes with a little cover thing because you
Cute.
couldn't wear strapless.
Of course, yeah.
And it's funny, like I had a rumor in 11th, it was 10th or 11th grade, where people were saying that I was a hussy, and
No.
yeah,
So this really hit home for you.
yeah, and I was not. Obviously, it didn't
Yeah.
go to the extent of this.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to get gift card money from
Yeah.
boys, but no, it was just I heard that people were talking shit because of how I dressed.
Oh
I was
my
like,
god! I
I was
can't
like,
believe it.
I'm a virgin. I never did any of that stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it didn't really
no.
bother me that much. It was just,
Oh, that's good.
I was just the new
I-
girl, so.
I don't know that I knew any rumors that were spread about me. I was very much a wallflower in high school. Like,
Yeah.
not really anyone that anyone cared about.
Oh.
So.
I feel like I had a similar vibe. At least
Yeah.
like junior, senior, freshman, sophomore, I felt like I had a lot of friends, especially freshmen. I wouldn't have called myself popular, but you know, that vein, I was friends with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But then junior and senior year, I was really like quiet. I didn't really have a lot of friends. Most of my friends were like freshmen and sophomore, so a lot of the senior and junior activities I didn't partake in because I didn't really have friends in those years.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just found it very interesting to go back through and kind of like be in high school again with them and see. It felt very similar. Obviously, everyone who acted was actually older than their high school years.
Yeah.
So no one really looked high school age.
No.
But
I feel like Emma Stone could have maybe passed for a high schooler, but it was, you know, not perfect. I'm curious if people who didn't go to high school at that time watching this would think everything was super dramatized. Obviously it was, but also I'm like, rumors did spread like crazy, especially about sex and, you know, if someone's a virgin or not. That was a huge fucking topic at that time. So I was like, I feel like this is pretty authentic, more or less. And so I'm curious if people who went to high school later or are younger than us feel like watching this and they're like, oh, this is so dramatic and crazy.
I did see that apparently Emma Stone said that in interviews she had with international sources were saying things like in France they were like, why would anyone care about your virginity or whatever.
That's true. Very American, I think.
Very American. Yeah, and then the hierarchies, there were other places that were like, yeah, we don't have hierarchies like that. So I think it does really speak to the American experience.
Yes.
And I do feel like the spreading of rumors is the same now as it was back then, because now they have cell phones and things like that, and something happens and everyone knows within 5 minutes. So, I mean, they had cell phones in this show, too, but there's...
I mean, rumors definitely still spread in high school. It's still toxic, but I'm curious what is mostly talked about nowadays. You know, it's
what's
definitely
deemed
different.
an interesting or worthwhile topic to
discuss.
About.
Right.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I have no idea what...
I just think of the 21 Jump Street movie.
Oh my god.
When they go to the high school and they're trying to fit in, but they're like, it's just a different vibe. And
right, like
everyone...
the one dude is acting like he's a nerd and he thinks he's gonna get bullied.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my god, King.
Yeah, they love the nerdy, like, it's cool to recycle, and it's just like that vibe.
Love
that
it.
movie is so funny.
So good. So good.
Anyway, I should probably jump into my snapshot real quick so we can discuss the movie further. The story, Easy A. It's narrated by Olive Pendergast, who's played by Emma Stone. A 17-year-old high school girl living in Ojai, had to look that up, California, and speaking in her webcam. So she's pretty much narrating the whole movie. Olive lies to her best friend, Ree, who's an awful person, we'll get more into that later, about going on a date in order to get out of a camping trip with Ree's hippie and strange parents. Instead, she hangs around the house all weekend listening to Pocket Full of Sunshine from a greeting card at her grandmother's center. And then the following Monday, Ree presses Olive until she lies about losing her virginity to a college boy. Mary Ann, played by Amanda Bynes. Also, Ree is played by Allie Michalka, who you might know from Allie and AJ.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you would know her face, but her name is not as...
And Phil of the Future, she was a Disney girly.
Yeah.
Mary Ann, played by Amanda Bynes, which I think this was her last official on-screen appearance.
It is.
A prudish, devout Christian overhears her telling the lie, and it soon spread throughout the school. Olive confides the truth to her friend Brandon, who is bullied by other students for being gay. He asks her to pretend to have sex with him at a party so other students will believe he is straight, and she agrees to do that for him. After a fight with Ree, Olive decides to counteract the harassment by embracing her new reputation as the school tramp. She begins to wear more provocative clothing and stitch a red A to her clothes, inspired by Nathaniel Hawthorne's 1850 novel The Scarlet Letter, which she's been reading in English class. Boys who have no previous luck with girls beg Olive to increase their popularity by letting them claim they have sex with her, which she does in exchange for various gift cards to different stores. Things get worse when Micah, played by Cam Gigandit, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but you know him from Twilight.
Yep.
He's got the face. Mary Ann's boyfriend contracts chlamydia, which killed me. That scene killed me.
Dude,
from sleeping with with Mrs. Griffith, played by Lisa Kudrow. Kudrow.
Yes.
Lisa Kudrow, the school guidance counselor, who Mrs. Griffith's husband is Olive's favorite teacher, and basically she takes the blame to spare their marriage. So she pretty much says that she gave Micah chlamydia. The church youth group, which now includes Ree, begins harassing Olive in an attempt to get her to drop out of school. She's asked out on a date by Anson, this guy who is Ree's crush, which ends badly when he actually tries to have sex with Olive and not just pretend that they had sex. Olive later reconnects with Todd, played by Penn Badgley from the show You, and who is her childhood crush and school mascot, who tells her he doesn't believe the rumors because she lied for him when he was not ready for a first kiss years ago. She decides to ask everyone she lied for to help her by telling the truth, but nobody's willing to help. When Mrs. Griffith also refuses to tell the truth, Olive ends up telling Mr. Griffith, who subsequently separates from his wife. After talking with her mom, who's played by Patricia Clarkson, Olive comes up with a plan. She is a huge John Hughes fan, and she wants a musical number, so she performs a song and dance number at the school pep rally to draw people's attention and tell them to watch a webcast later that night, promising an online sex show with Todd, when in reality it is the webcast that has served the narrative device for the film. As Olive is concluding her webcast, Todd comes to her house riding a lawnmower, and she signs off by saying that she may lose her virginity to him sooner or later, but it's nobody's goddamn business, quote. Olive texts Ree and apologizes and goes outside to meet Todd, where they share a kiss and ride off on the lawnmower, John Hughes style.
Yep.
And that is the movie.
Yes.
So, a lot happens, obviously.
A lot happens, yes.
So, we'll talk about the best friend character, Ree.
Yeah.
Who is evil.
The world's worst best friend.
From the start, I'm like, is she the bully?
Right. She immediately doesn't believe a single word out of Olive's mouth. Like, makes up her own story. And so at the end, when Olive apologizes for lying, it's like, no, she came up with...
Yeah, Reed started it because she was forcing her to talk and pretty much making shit up, basically assuming that she had sex with this guy and all this stuff. And so Olive just kind of goes with it, and then that's how it starts. And then when she starts getting all this attention and all the rumors start, Reed is pissed at her or something.
Yeah.
She's confrontive and real mean, and then Olive's like, okay, well, fuck you.
Right.
And it just gets worse from there. And then the whole thing where with the guy Anson, she goes on a date with, who tries to have sex with Olive. They're at the restaurant, and Ree is also at the restaurant. And Olive didn't want her to see them together because she knows Ree is likes him. And I was like, fuck, who cares? Like, she's
at that point when
bitch.
she's done what she's done. Like, no, sorry.
I was very confused with that whole thing. I did not like her as a friend, and I feel like she was not a good friend.
She was not a good friend. That is not... It is giving, like, high school friendships. I know that I put up with a lot of really bad friends in high school because that's all you know. And that's, like, what you're familiar with, and you have a smaller pool of people to select from. So I know that I definitely put up with stuff, but I don't think I would have gone this far. No. I was definitely someone who wanted to make things work with my friends, but not when they treated me like absolute garbage. Whenever that happened, it was like, okay, time for new friends. And
yeah, and she kept calling her like, oh, come on, bitch, which, you know, can be a term of endearment.
Right. For
but
some people,
in a certain way,
I mean, she says pretty clearly from the beginning that she's not comfortable with that terminology.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, you have to, like,
respect. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you said to me, Megan, stop calling me TT to your dogs, I would say, that's fair. I am not Hispanic. I'll stop.
But yeah, it's like she doesn't listen to her, so I don't know. I just thought she
No.
was garbage, and I did not like her at all.
No.
And then her parents, they're like these hippies, and they show like a
Yeah.
flashback, and they're almost fully naked.
Almost fully naked.
Like
Can you
smoking and
yes,
hanging out. I'm like,
hitting a
no,
bong.
yeah, no wonder Olive doesn't want to hang out with them. And I feel like
Right.
Ree probably would not have listened anyway if Olive was like, oh, I felt uncomfortable because your parents were naked.
Exactly.
And she would just been like, oh, stop being a prude. Ugh, ugh.
Right.
Something stupid. She fucking sucks. Anyway.
Yeah, she did suck. She was not a good friend. And if anyone listening, hopefully we don't have any high schoolers listening, but if anyone listening has friends like Ree, to reconsider.
Yeah, drop them.
Reconsider.
Yes. And then I want to discuss Todd, obviously. So Todd, you would know him from the show You, is like so much more attractive in this movie.
Yes.
I only watched a few episodes of You.
Which is so surprising to me.
It like creeped me out. I think that was the point of it though. But it really like creeped me out.
That's the thing is you're the one who likes horror.
Yeah, but it's too based in reality.
Okay.
I think that's what creeped me out because it's from the perspective, the main character is this murderer who stalks women, and he's just put in this light that's like, look how suave and cool, but like, you know, that's his whole thing. And for me, I'm like, it's too creepy, it's too real.
Yeah,
I don't
you
like
would
that.
Fall for it.
I don't know if I would fall for it, maybe, because he's very charming. That's his whole gimmick. But it's just the whole stalking thing. I just not.
Yeah.
It's just too much
it's
for
a
me.
terrifying concept. The idea of being stalked is one of my biggest fears because there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, and it's a real thing that happens
that a lot of people experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, oh, it's a little much for me. I'd be willing to give it another chance, but because I know it's very popular. But I watched a few episodes and I was like, oh man, this is
the final season is gonna come out. I'm gonna watch it, and then if it ends in a way that I feel like you'll feel satisfaction from, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, let me know, because then that'll be disappointing if I actually enjoy it and then it ends like garbage. So.
Right, you know how that goes. My hope is, I'm hopeful that we'll see justice, but it might not happen. So yeah, we'll see. It is like. It's a lot. It's a lot. And as someone who doesn't like horror, it's kind of funny that I enjoy it. But I think for me, it gets crazier and crazier and crazier. So it doesn't start to feel. It no longer begins to feel based in reality.
Yeah.
After a point.
Okay. And I feel like it's like horror, but I'd consider it more like a thriller. So I could see why you'd enjoy it.
Yeah,
you know?
I like a good thriller.
But anyway,
anyway, Penn Badgley.
The actor, Penn Badgley, is so hot in this movie. And I never really found him attractive in You.
Really?
No. He's like...
Okay.
I don't want to call him a dweeb. Like, he's okay.
That's funny.
He's okay looking.
Okay, interesting.
And I was like, what is different about him in this movie other than him being younger?
Yeah.
But I'm like, is it just because he's younger? Like...
Yeah.
I don't know, but he's so fine in this movie.
Yeah.
And I put as my most memorable scene. There were a few memorable scenes.
Yep.
But my most memorable is, so the school originally had a blue, mascot,
devil.
the Blue Devil. I almost said Blue Satan. Blue Devil mascot. And the religious group petitioned against it, and they changed it to Woodchuck. So he comes out in this like full costume with a wheelbarrow of logs, and he takes this log. I can't even mimic it because it is so funny.
He goes to like mimic eating the wood.
Like eating the log, but he's like and it's really good, and it just killed me. And I watched that scene. I had to keep rewinding it because it was so funny. I don't know what it was about that scene, but the way he did it was so funny. And I didn't recognize him at first who it was.
Really?
Until later. Probably because he was all in blue and then he had the mask on. Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, it's that motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's that bitch. But it was so funny. And he's just so handsome in this movie. And he's really such a grade A romance option because I was curious who it was going to be. And he's just so kind and so sincere and believes Olive, you know, even like the rumors, he's like, I don't care, I don't believe it, and he's just so good to her. And I'm like, thank God this man is decent, because Olive is going through it, and I feel like no one listens to her. No one's listening to her. To be fair, she doesn't really open up to her parents till the end.
Yes.
And I feel like her parents would have definitely listened to her. But
they were trying. They were like, is there anything you should talk about? Blah,
Yeah.
blah. And you can't, to say a really old, weird metaphor, you can't milk water from a stone. So
yeah. The parents were definitely more, they were the cool parents. So they were like,
yes.
They kind of knew something was going on, but they didn't want to push her
to
explain if she wasn't comfortable, which is totally fair. But she definitely should have opened up to at least her parents, I think.
Right.
But
I feel like part of me thinks I would be the cool parent because of some of the things they say and do. And then there's other parts where I was like, I wouldn't let it go. I would be like, sit down. We're going to have a 1 hour long heart to heart. I need to know what's happening because something weird.
Yeah. I have no idea how I would have handled it. I think knowing how Olive is and if she's always been fine in school, and then I noticed something really kind of, different, I would want her to open up, but, I don't know if I'd, think I'd fully trust her to figure out her situation at 17 years old, but it would totally depend on, how I knew her growing up and how she handled other situations, and so I could see them, just being like, oh, she's got this, and she'll open up when she feels like she needs to, but also I would definitely be worried for her, especially her wardrobe change and all this stuff. Okay, what's
getting
kind
in
of
trouble with the
happening
principal
here?
now.
Yeah,
various things are happening, and okay, that's not something that she needs to be punished for, but it is something where something fishy is going on.
Yeah, there's definitely something up. And then the dad I didn't mention is played by Stanley Tucci, who is
yes, he is.
so fine. So fine this
know.
movie. I was like,
no.
Hold
how
on.
dare I all of a sudden have a little crush on Stanley Tucci?
Oh my god! He was working. Whatever he was working, it was working for him. And I'm like, I am in love with this man right now.
Yes, he was just being funny and interesting, and I was
a good dad, and he was just fine. He was 10 out of 10.
Agreed.
I love the parents. I thought they were so funny, and I love the family dynamic.
Agreed.
Yeah, they're just the cool parents, and they're the kids. You can tell they're just raised well, and they all talk to each other and respect each other, and it's just a really nice view of a good household in movies. So it was nice to see that everyone was respectful of each other, and you can tell the parents loved each other, and she had a good relationship with her younger brother, and
and they were open with each other. They could have real conversations.
Right. And the one scene that I've seen before is when the little brother is like, I'm never gonna hit puberty, and the mom's like, well, our family is full of late bloomers. He's like, what does that matter? I'm adopted. And the dad goes, who told you? And it was just such a funny joke for them to say. But it's just, they were just so great.
I loved the parents. Some of my favorite scenes were with the parents. I just found them to be
and the dad, he was like, I'd do anything for you. He was like, I would take a bullet for you straight through the head. He was like, I would slit my throat for you. And the mom's like, all right. And I'm like, that's amazing. I love
that's
it.
dedication.
It's absolutely. I think the only, because we discussed how the humor would hold up and how the movie would hold up, and I think it holds up well. The only thing that I feel like didn't age as well was some of the gay jokes, and there were some stereotypes that were brought up. They weren't awful. They weren't awful, but it was a few stereotypes that were brought up that I was like, maybe not.
In part, when I was watching it, I was like, I don't like that. But there were certain things that were said where I was like, that was what it was like in 2010.
Yeah.
People did use that language and make those kind of jokes and commentary.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it okay. It just reminded me of the challenge of being gay when we were in high school. I know that, one of my best friends was gay in high school. I guess he's still gay, but one of my best friends from high school. It was a very big thing for him to come out because of the way that it was in our school environment. And it was very, very challenging.
Right. Yeah.
So I agree fully. I don't think the jokes are funny anymore. To me, it definitely speaks to the reality of the times. But
yeah. And I feel like some of the jokes were of the time. Jokes that would be funny that watching this in 2010 and now I can tell that's in like an old joke that I
Yeah.
probably would have laughed at.
Right.
A majority of the movie's still funny, but there
Yeah.
are some that you can tell was like aged. You know, it's a little
Yes.
aged, and some of the gay jokes were definitely aged.
Definitely.
Um,
Yeah, I also found it kind of strange with the description of Huckleberry Finn and things like that, where she's like, "Oh yeah, you never hear about like a young white boy getting taken away by a hulking black man," and I was like, "What? What?"
Yes, and that's what happens.
Yes,
Her friend
does
Brandon
happen.
runs away
Yeah.
with a black man, and he's at the end of the movie. He's
Happy.
happily in a relationship. So
Yes.
I did find that funny.
Yeah. I loved the references they made in the movie. There were a lot of really good references, whether it's to the Scarlet Letter or old movies or whatever. I love making those connections when watching a film. I find it very exciting when you're watching it. You feel kind of like, aha, I know what you did there.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the narrative style and her just kind of talking about everything, and then bringing up those movie references and talking about the book. And I never read the Scarlet Letter. No, I never read it. So I don't know exactly. What I know is from this movie, to be honest. Like, I know like the bare bones of it. So yeah, and then when she was talking about there's 2 movie versions. The original that she watched and the one that most people are watching with Demi Moore, who has a shitty British accent, and is in the bathtub most of the time, according to Emma Stone. So, which I thought was funny. I've also never seen that, but I feel like I have to watch it now just
for
see that. Yeah.
Yes. I never watched either of the Scarlet Letter movies. I read the book in high school. I loved the book. I thought it was a great book. But yeah, I never watched either of the movies. So those jokes went over my head, but I also thought they were funny. Like,
they were still funny, yeah.
They do a good job at explaining the jokes. So saying about them, the bathtub scene, and then referencing it later over and over again. So that's
right.
a lot of fun.
I have so many quotes from the dad.
Oh my god, of course.
Like when the dad was saying, "We love you no matter what the sexual preference of your partner is." So they thought she was dating Brandon.
Yes.
Was obviously gay, I guess. They knew he was gay.
Yeah.
And then the dad said at one point, "I was gay once." I think we can talk about Amanda Bynes a little bit.
Yes.
Her character was so funny. And Brett watched like half of it with me. He's like, "Oh my god, is Amanda Bynes playing a heavy Christian?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, she is."
Yep.
I really liked her in the movie. It made me sad because I actually just finished watching the fucking Quiet on Set documentary. Girl, oh my god, it is brutal.
I don't know if I can watch it.
It's brutal.
I think it's gonna be too upsetting.
Not to divert too much into it, but watching these kids that you watched when you were younger and having to be role models for you. Amanda Bynes was a huge role model for me, and knowing what they went through, especially Drake. Oh my god, Drake Bell talking was heartbreaking. And it's just upsetting. I'm like, so many kids just, you don't think about it as much, but all these kids, how many kids have just been damaged? And you think more about these adult actors who were child actors, and I'm like, it just makes sense. They're all fucked up. It's like God knows what happened when they were young. And it's awful. It is. Oh, it's rough. Brett wanted to watch it, and I was like, okay. And we're both just emotional. It's really a lot.
Yeah.
So they talk a little about Amanda, and watching her in this, I'm just like, gosh, she really was just so talented and so funny. And I love her comedic timing. Emma Stone has great comedic timing, and they're just really great. And it just makes me sad. But she was so funny in this movie, and I loved the whole the whole subplot with the boyfriend Micah, who ends up getting chlamydia. Oh my god. And it revealing that it was the guidance counselor who was insane. I did not expect that at all.
Really?
No.
No. Because we were talking before we started recording, you said you were struggling to find something to be deleted. And I love a good twist, a plot twist. That's fun. But I get so icked out by the concept of the counselor, student, or teacher, student, anything within that realm, that I was like, that would be my deleted. Because I just think it's so skeevy. Even if he is a super duper duper senior.
It's like, what, 21 or 22?
Right, he's supposed to be 21 in 8 months.
Yes.
And because the guidance counselor at one point like yells, he's 21 years old in 8 months.
Yeah, she's like,
And-
it's fine. Which is obviously not fine, but
No.
he wasn't technically a minor, but he was still
Ugh.
a student. Just
Yeah.
really gross.
Very problematic.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. It was crazy. And it really broke my heart because Olive's favorite teacher, Mr. Griffith, is so cool. And I
Yes.
remember having such a cool literature teacher too.
Yes.
And knowing that was his wife, I was like, how dare you?
Yeah.
This man is a 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Let me have him then.
Right.
I will take him, you bitch.
Right. Work on your marriage. If you're having problems, figure it out.
Right.
And there's at one point where she says, like, oh, if this guy comes to you and he starts treating you really well. Sorry, no 21-year-old will ever treat you actually well.
No. And I feel like she's lying because earlier on they showed the couple together, Mr. and Mrs. Griffith, and he's real like sweet, touchy with her, and she's like, stop, we're in school, which is fair. But I'm like, what? Do you just not, I feel like it's more one-sided. Maybe he does have some things going on that pushed her away. We don't know the full story, obviously, but I feel like for her, she's just not really into the relationship anymore and wanted to have an excuse to cheat on him with someone else.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, listen, I don't condone people cheating on anyone because that's really horrible. But at least do it with someone who's around about your age, mental capacity, etc., and so on.
Yeah, and this guy, Micah, was in the Bible group. They were going to wait till marriage. That was their whole thing. He was dating Marianne, and he was sick. And then when they at the hospital, they're like, "Oh, you have chlamydia." Oh my god, dude, I died. I just wasn't expecting. It was so funny.
Yeah. The mom was like so mad at him. I think she like slapped him upside the head.
She's hitting him at the hospital.
Yeah,
it was just crazy.
That part was funny. I could never understand Olive taking the fall for that, even if it's your favorite teacher.
Yeah, because when she talks to Mrs. Griffith, she's pretty much like, this is my fault, I'm taking the blame, I'll get fired, whatever. And I was like, good, as you should. But then I don't know, with Olive, I forget how the conversation went, but it pretty much went with Olive deciding to just fully take the blame for it. I think mostly because she didn't want Mr. Griffith to know.
Yeah. She didn't want him to get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's, dude,
which is fair, but also
his marriage is not functioning properly at this time. He deserves to know.
She's gonna just keep cheating on him. What? So that was just weird.
Yeah.
Obviously the truth does come out because Mrs. Griffith was like, oh, no one's gonna believe you if you come out with it. And Oliver was like, fine. So she tells Mr. Griffith, which kind of sucks because it was just out of nowhere. And poor guy, that's not something you want to hear during school hours.
No. That is definitely something she should have probably gone to the principal about.
Yeah, yes.
But, I mean, it's a movie, obviously. So I have to remind myself of that aspect of it. But it's, that whole thing was definitely, I've said definitely so many times. I think that was my least favorite storyline of the movie because of the fact that it's icky. Lisa Kudrow, she did play a good villain.
Yeah, she did.
And she plays every role that she does very well. And she has great timing and things like that.
She's very unsuspecting, you're like, oh, she's so, kind and giddy. And part of it is you're thinking of Friends, her character on Friends. And so then seeing her switch, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that at all. So, I mean, she was kind of a bitch to Olive. She wasn't really listening to her the first time they met. So
she was not a good guidance counselor.
No.
And she had a lot of really she kind of steamrolled Olive and just made her own assumptions.
Yeah.
And clearly was going into this with this mindset of what she assumes to be true about students instead of what's true for that student.
Yeah.
So definitely probably should have been fired anyway for being a bad guidance counselor.
Right. So that should have been a red flag right there. And I thought maybe
Right.
she was just an idiot. And I was like, okay, I guess she's just stupid. Something that Olive says in the movie is, if there's one thing worse than chlamydia, it's Florida. And 100%
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny with Micah being at his grandparents' house in Florida, reading the Bible with them, and them yelling at him for scratching himself.
Ugh, fucking gross. And
So gross.
the other thing that made me crack up, because it's just so of the times, was Olive is looking for the Bible to read, I guess. And she goes to the bookstore and she's like, oh, I'm looking for the Bible. And the guy's like, oh, it's in the bestseller section next to Twilight.
Yes. So good.
It's great. It's that's perfect. And it's so funny that the one actor from Twilight is in this movie.
There were a couple things like that because they made a reference to Gossip Girl, and Penn Badgley is in Gossip Girl.
That's that's true.
Really quick, because we were talking about Marianne, this I thought was interesting. Gluck, the director, said that if there was one thing he could do over, it's the character of Marianne.
Okay.
And so the reason he said is because, and I'm just going to read a direct quote, I never intended to make a statement about evangelical Christians. I wanted to make a statement about evangelicals and zealots, the adjective, not the noun. So he was hoping to make fun of people who are very judgy in high school. Yeah. And it was just the easiest outlet was through one specific religion. And he would have preferred it to be more of a broader sense than just that one grouping.
Yeah, Marianne's a very interesting character because she starts off really hating Olive. You know, she's kind of bitchy at first. Yeah. And then Olive takes the time to talk to Marianne because Marianne's crying that Micah's parents are getting a divorce. Right. She's upset about it, and Olive kind of consoles her, and she's like, we should be friends. We should be best friends. And they get friendly, and part of it, you know, Marianne wants to kind of save Olive from her promiscuity. But they kind of become friends until it comes out that Olive supposedly gave Micah chlamydia, and then it goes bad again. So I was kind of like, you know, Marianne maybe not too bad. Yeah, she's a little cuckoo, but her character was a little back and forth. I couldn't gauge her. I couldn't fully understand her character. Yeah. But no, she was definitely an interesting one. I almost was like, are they going to become best friends at the end, you know, over Rhee, and Rhee's gonna kind of be the bad person, but it didn't come out to that.
I wouldn't have minded that.
Yeah.
It's because there is that moment of understanding that they have, and of course I can understand why Marianne wouldn't want to be friends with her if she thought that she gave her boyfriend chlamydia. I can understand being at that point closing that door once and for all.
Yeah.
Marianne was definitely being very judgmental at the beginning, which wasn't good.
And she started the rumor, so.
Right, exactly. She should never have done that. But she could have had more of a redemption arc.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I have much else to discuss in the movie. I don't know if you have things.
Yes.
Okay.
I
don't know if you read, but I wanted to look it up. Did Emma Stone sing at the end, or did she lip sync?
Oh, I did not see that, so I don't know. Why don't you look it up really quick?
Because I know she sings in La La Land, but I didn't love her voice in La La Land, so I was really curious.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, and I forgot to look it up. Oh, yeah, performed by Emma Stone, uncredited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess she did.
Look at her. Yeah, I have to watch La La Land again, but I didn't love her singing. Her singing was better than her dancing.
I didn't like La La Land in general.
Really?
I know it's very surprising. Sad? What? So part of it is because it's sad.
Yeah.
Part of it, and this is one of the criticisms of it, is that jazz in general is originated in the Black community, and then here it is being pretty much like whited down for the general public.
Yeah.
So in that aspect of it, I didn't like that either. So those two things. I don't like a sad ending. I was not blown away by her singing in it, and then the fact that, I mean, it was just it was dumb.
Yeah.
Like it just made I don't know.
I mean, she made Ryan Gosling look a lot better. So
yeah.
He was great in it. I enjoyed it. I thought, you know,
interesting.
You
like twisted things. You're twisted.
No, I didn't. I did not like the ending. I will say broke me because I didn't see it coming at all. But it was good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, here's some fun facts for you. So the whole movie takes place in high school, but many of the main players in the movie never went to high school. So Emma Stone did 1 semester at a Catholic high school.
Shut up.
Penn Badgley, I thought this was so interesting. He, at the age of 14, took a proficiency exam before going into Santa Monica College. So he didn't do high school.
Dude, what?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? And then the screenwriter, Bert V. Royal, did not go to high school either. So the guy who wrote the film didn't go to high school.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a quote from the writer. He said, having not gone to high school, I was an outsider looking in. I think it gave me a better vantage point. To me, high school is a fantasy world. That's one fantasy world I could have gone without. The screenwriter also said he wrote the movie in 5 or 6 days. The bulk of it he wrote in 5 or 6 days. And then the last 9 to 10 pages he came up with in the following 2 weeks afterwards. But the whole thing took 3 weeks, but for the most part, it was 5 or 6 days to come up with the first 110 pages of the script.
Wow. Holy shit.
It's insane. During the fake sex scene that they filmed, that was on the second day of shooting. And apparently Emma Stone did not know that she had asthma, and this induced an asthma attack for her.
Oh my God.
She said it was very embarrassing.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That is such an insane way to find out you have asthma.
I know. Because obviously, and I was thinking, oh, she did it one time and that caused it. But they're doing this scene over and over for hours and hours. So she was just jumping on a bed, hitting a wall, screaming. So it makes sense that you would wear yourself down with all that activity. But to not know that you have any asthma and then for that to induce it sounds very scary. But apparently she was embarrassed because it was only day 2 of filming. And then back in 2019... they said that they are making an Easy A spinoff, but as with all things in Hollywood, that could have just gone down to die because it's 5 years later and I have not heard a thing about it. So.
No. Yeah, I don't know. Was it received well when it came out?
I mean, I don't know about when it came out because on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, you see pretty high ratings, like 86% and in the 70s or something like that for audience. So pretty high ratings. I think it was received well. I remember enjoying it.
Because I remember, like, the commercial, like, I feel like the marketing was a little weird for it. And I remember not having any interest in it because it just, for me, didn't look good.
Yeah. For me, it was right on my alley. I watched it with my mom. I mean, some of those scenes were a little awkward to watch with your mom if you're a teenager. But I remember enjoying it. I feel like I've blacked out much of high school, so I can't really say what the general audience thought. But I think it was pretty well received. I think it wasn't what people were expecting, and that made it more interesting because she comes off looking like she's going to be this promiscuous person, whatever, but she's actually just a big old nerd. Yeah. And I was a big old nerd, and I was probably reading Scarlet Letter when this came out. I'm almost positive.
Perfect timing.
Because in, what was it, 10th grade?
I feel like it would have been sophomore, yeah,
that we read that or it was right around we read it in 11th grade, so I probably enjoyed the Scarlet Letter more having watched the movie. Regardless, whatever, I can't say, but I think it was received well.
I mean, it has good ratings. I feel like it's one of those movies that it's not what you expect it to be, you know, and it's hard with some of these comedy movies, you know, these rom-coms where the trailer you're like, I don't know, but then you watch it and you're like, oh, like this is actually funny. And I think it's hard for some romantic comedies or comedies in general to have a trailer that's going to entice a lot of people. So
rom-coms in general just get the short end of the stick. People don't give it the credit that it deserves.
I think because they're usually advertised a certain way. They usually advertise the romance more or the sexy, you know, the sex appeal because that's what sells. When in reality, it's like, oh no, it has, you know, substance. It has more to it.
So that's
how old was Emma Stone? Is that her
She's
first
22.
big role?
She's funny too. I don't think it was her first big role, but
She had something before then. Super bad.
Oh,
That was her first role. Yeah. Or her big role.
Have you seen Pretty Little Things?
No.
Or Poor
Wait.
Little Things?
Yes.
You watched it?
The mom. Yeah, with the mom's in it, right? With Amy.
I don't know. I'm not gonna watch it.
Oh, wait, sorry. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. No, I've not watched Poor Little Things yet. I am not mentally ready for that yet.
No, I'm never gonna watch it. I'm never gonna be mentally prepared for that.
It seems like it's gonna be a lot.
Oh, it's just called Poor Things.
Yeah, Poor Things.
My sister gave me the rundown. My coworker gave me the rundown. I'm solid. I don't need to watch it. It's a little too much for me.
The Help is.
No, The Help.
She's good in Help. Yeah,
It was in
Superbad has to be like
2011.
her first. Yeah.
Well, Superbad is is one of her first movies. There are some Little Things, like TV movies that she was in, but Superbad was the first movie she was in, and then she was in a couple
And then
of other ones like
Zombieland.
Zombieland, The House Bunny, Ghost of Girlfriend Past.
Oh my God, the House Bunny.
Yeah,
Was she
that's
one of the main
what I'm in.
girls?
So yeah, I think she was one of them.
That movie was so funny. Oh my God. So I think most memorable scene. I said Woodchuck.
Yeah,
Todd, just because how many times
Fair
I've
enough.
watched it. The scene that should be deleted. I just said the bad aging gay jokes. There were
Okay,
jokes that were
fair.
made that didn't have to
Yep.
be made, but I honestly couldn't really think of a lot of scenes to be deleted. But it's very
Yeah.
fair. The whole plot point you mentioned with Micah and the counselor was
yeah.
could be a little concerning.
It's definitely in the movie. They don't make it seem like it's a good thing, so it's not they like
No.
played it off. It's just
Yeah.
that for me, that makes me so highly uncomfortable that I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's get rid of that bit.
It's valid. Love interest, Todd, smash.
Yeah,
Duh. Side character, there were a lot of side characters. I would
Right.
pass all of them except the dad and the teacher.
Fair enough.
So,
Yeah, fair enough.
how likely are you to fall in love with the situation? I said a 10.
Yeah,
Todd was,
that's great.
rooting for me this whole time after
Right.
all the shit I've been going through. Like, yeah, I definitely fall in love. Would you recommend? I would recommend it. It's funny. It really is not the raunchy teen comedy like my mom thought it
Your
was.
mom's worried it's gonna be.
It's, it's got good jokes and Emma Stone is a fun time. Yeah. And so I gave it a 4.2. It's pretty
Ooh,
good.
okay.
I enjoyed it. So there was a point where I was a little worried. Not worried, but like I was worried the jokes weren't going to, they felt a little
Yes.
dated and it was more towards the beginning, middle. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And then once things started escalating, it got funnier and I was like, okay, no, this is good. This is
I was
funny.
worried about the aging of the jokes as well. Anytime it's in the mid 2000s, anytime early aughts, 2000s, 2010s, I do get nervous because that was a period of very raunchy jokes.
Yes.
And jokes that don't historically age well. So the
No.
fact that there was only, a handful
Yeah.
is actually kind of impressive.
No, it was good. I thought the jokes still held up well. So
Yeah, there wasn't a lot that made me feel icky. So I'm
No.
glad for that.
No. All right. So for our next movie that I'm gonna have you watch, I'm gonna have you watch the movie Cloverfield.
Okay.
This is the
Original.
2008. Yeah. So there's a few of them. There's Cloverfield, Paradox, Cloverfield Lane.
I've seen Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah. So it's funny you've watched that without. You
I
really don't have
know.
to see Cloverfield to watch it, but it's just funny. So, yeah. So the original Cloverfield, it's pretty much about this group of people, and they're having a going away party, and this creature that's the size of a skyscraper descends from the sky
Ow.
and just is fucking shit up. So the group is just trying to survive pretty much, and one of them has a camera because they're like, you have to document everything, don't ever stop recording. And it's them trying to survive while this mayhem is happening around them.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is, I think, like the first, other than Blair Witch, right?
Right.
Like a big found footage movie that came out.
Okay. I remember the excitement around the style, and I
Yeah.
know that there was a lot of negative feedback about people being upset by the shakiness of the camera
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah, my mom was one of them. but it's not that bad. It's really not that bad.
I mean, I'll be fine.
I think people just weren't used to found footage movies like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm hoping
I'm
it
curious
makes
what
it
you'll
less scary, but we'll see. Maybe it makes it worse.
I don't think it's that. It's a monster movie. I don't think
Yeah.
creature features are that spooky. So
Okay, we'll find out.
we'll find out. But
All right.
yeah.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for the first in a common thread that you'll find out next. I don't know.
I unfortunately know what the thread is already.
So. She knows what the thread is already. So that stinks for you, but it's fine. I've already forgotten what the... Oh, no, I remember what the thread is. Okay. We are on Instagram. How do you watch this? You can message on Google or Gmail. That's the one. How do you watch this at gmail.com. Those are pretty much the best places to find us. Demi has been a champ and is posting stuff. And I will like those posts soon.
Now on TikTok, you can just repost. You don't have
I
to post
know.
anything. So
No,
we can do that too.
that's true. You're so right.
I'm having a hard time signing into the TikTok on my new phone, so
Oh no. Okay. All right. We might have to change the password.
I will figure it out. But yeah, I didn't
Okay.
want to change it without letting you know. So
No, you can change it. I won't be upset.
okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening. We'll
Yeah.
see you next week for the next exciting episode on Cloverfield.
Bye.